Maine isn't usually on the short list when people are choosing where to form an LLC. It's not flashy, it's not marketed as tax-free, and it doesn't show up in those viral best state lists. But here's the thing. Maine is stable, straightforward, and for the right type of business, it just works. You just need to understand the costs and the compliance upfront. So in this video, let's break it down. I'm going to walk you through how to start an LLC in Maine in 2026, what it costs, how the process works, and whether this state makes sense for your situation. Hey, I'm Bobby Casey, founder of Business Anywhere. I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs, U.S. founders, digital nomads, expats, and non-U.S. residents form LLCs remotely without getting stuck in confusing state systems. And Maine is one of those states where everything is pretty clear, as long as you follow the steps. All right, before we get into Maine specifically, let's zoom out for a second. An LLC, limited liability company, is all about separation. It separates you from your business. If your company runs into legal issues or debt, your personal assets are generally protected. That's the core benefit. And from a tax standpoint, LLCs are flexible. A single-member LLC is taxed like a sole proprietorship by default. A multi-member LLC is taxed like a partnership. And if it makes sense later, you can elect S-Corp taxation. So you get protection without corporate complexity. Now let's shift to Maine. The filing fee to form an LLC in Maine is $175. That's paid to the Maine Secretary of State when you file your certificate of formation. So upfront, it's a bit higher than some states, but still reasonable. Maine doesn't position itself as a tax haven state, so the decision to form here is usually based on where you live or operate, not tax optimization. All right, so how do you actually form your Maine LLC? It starts with your business name. Your LLC name must be distinguishable from other registered businesses in Maine, and it must include limited liability company, LLC or LLC at the end. So it can't just be Pine Tree Consulting, it needs to be Pine Tree Consulting LLC. Before committing, search the Maine business database to confirm availability. If you're not ready to file yet, you can reserve your name for a period of time for a small fee. Once your name is locked in, let's talk about your registered agent. Every Maine LLC must have a registered agent with a physical street address in the state. No P.O. boxes. This is the person or company responsible for receiving legal documents and official notices on behalf of your business. If you live in Maine, you can act as your own registered agent, but your address becomes public record and you must be available during normal business hours. That's why many founders choose a professional registered agent service. It keeps your information private and ensures nothing gets missed. Now, moving forward to the official formation. You'll file your certificate of formation with the Maine Secretary of State. The filing fee is $175. In that filing, you'll include your LLC name, registered agent information, principal office address, and management structure, whether your LLC is member managed or manager managed. Once approved, your LLC is officially active. Now, even though Maine doesn't require you to submit it to the state, you should absolutely create an operating agreement. This document outlines ownership, decision-making, profit distribution, and what happens if a member exits. Even if you're a single-member LLC, having this in place strengthens your liability protection and makes your business look far more legitimate to banks and partners. Next up, your EIN. Your employer identification number comes from the IRS, and it's completely free. You'll need it to open a U.S. business bank account, hire employees, and file federal taxes. If you're a U.S. resident with an SSN, you can apply online and get it quickly. If you're outside the U.S., the process takes a bit longer but is still manageable. Now let's talk about ongoing compliance. Maine requires LLCs to file an annual report. There is a filing fee associated with that report, and it must be submitted each year to keep your business in good standing. Missing that deadline can result in penalties or even administrative dissolution. So while forming your LLC is a one-time step, maintaining it is an ongoing responsibility. Depending on your business activity, you may also need to register for state taxes or obtain licenses. Maine doesn't require a general statewide business license for every LLC, but certain industries absolutely require permits. If you're selling goods, you'll likely need to register for sales tax with Maine Revenue Services. Finally, once your LLC is approved and you've received your EIN, open a dedicated business bank account. This is critical. If you mix personal and business funds, you risk weakening your liability protection. Banks typically request your certificate of formation, EIN confirmation letter, operating agreement, and valid identification. If you're operating remotely, you'll also need a legitimate U.S. business address. So let's recap. To start an LLC in Maine, choose a unique name and confirm availability. Appoint a registered agent with a Main Street address. File your certificate of formation and pay the $175 state fee. Create an operating agreement. Obtain your EIN. Register for any required taxes or licenses. And file your annual report each year. Maine is steady. No hype, no gimmicks, just a clear, structured system. It makes the most sense if you're actually based there or operating locally. You can absolutely handle the process yourself, but if you'd rather skip the paperwork and compliance tracking, we can help. At Business Anywhere, we'll form your Maine LLC for free. You just pay the $175 state fee, and we include your first year of registered agent service at no extra cost. We'll also help with your EIN and send annual report reminders so nothing slips through the cracks. So I'm curious, are you forming in Maine because you live there, or are you comparing it with other states? Drop a comment and tell me what you're building, and I'll see you in the next one.